One. Hey guys, how's it going? It's Jamie, your crafty DIY guy, and I'm back. I have got a cool video today. Before we get started on the video though, I did want to first say thank you. If you are my OG subscribers or a new subscriber to mine, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys being here. If you are a new subscriber or you're checking out the channel for the first time, thank you also. I would love it if you would become a regular subscriber. We can chat. I like to go live and do a lot of interaction and contests and sweepstakes with my folks and my friends. So let's just have some fun. Today's video is exciting for me. It's so exciting, clearly I can't talk. But the video is super exciting to me because it is a collaboration with Simple DIYer. Now, if you're not familiar with Jessica's channel, please check it out. Hopefully, you already know about her and you love her as much as I do. I have been a fan of her channel for quite some time, and she reached out and asked about doing this collaboration, and I was like, yeah, no brainer. Yes, yes. And I hope that my projects do her justice and that her subscribers like them as well. I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up about her channel next, and then we'll get into the video and I'll show you some cool projects. Before we get started in the video, I did want to share Jessica's page with you from Simple DIYer. Honestly, she has some amazing, amazing projects. She's blown me away with her creativity, and I've actually always, as I said before, been a fan of her work, so I was absolutely honored when she asked me to do this collaboration with her. Also, you can find her on Instagram, also at The Simple DIYer, so be sure to check out her YouTube, her Instagram, and of course, subscribe to both. All right, guys, let's get started. So about 4 weeks ago when I went to Dollar Tree the last time, I picked up this adhesive that is for foam and for poster board, and I thought it could be perfect to use on this oversized styrofoam ball that I had. I had this extra nautical rope, and I wanted to kind of create some decorative accents for my coffee table. So I originally created this knot or this disc with my hot glue. That way I had a good starter for the ball itself. I did try to use some of the glue from the Beacon company here, and it was okay. It wasn't adhesing or sticking to the ball as quickly as I would have liked it to. So I ended up using a little dab of hot glue, and I just honestly just worked my way around the ball. And I did use a combination of the Beacons and then also some regular hot glue, because the Beacon stuff was good, but it was very liquidy. I almost thought it would go on kind of similar to like a super glue, and it didn't. Unfortunately, it took a while for it to dry. So it wasn't a total fail, but the glue from my hot glue gun definitely helped better. And I think because it had the Beacon glue as a base, maybe that's why it didn't melt the styrofoam, or maybe I just got lucky and got some really good like industrial strength styrofoam. I'm not exactly sure, but as you can see here, it was working out pretty good. And I originally started with just the Beacon, and then I eventually switched over to nothing but hot glue. And then the very last thing I did was just take a lighter and kind of burn off some of those frayed edges. Obviously, be very, very careful if you're doing this yourself. Wait until your glue dries and just do it in smaller sections. Probably a lot smaller than I'm doing, actually. And this is what the finished product looks like. I even made a baby ball using the Dollar Tree twine. I really love the way that these look. I think they're perfect on my tablescape right here, and I'm really, really loving these pieces. And then for project number 2, I wanted to use some items that were in my scrap drawer. So I had these 2 frames that were left over from a project I did with some of those Dollar Tree round mirrors. I also had these beads that I purchased on Amazon. I got them a couple weeks ago, and I'll include the link of how I bought them, or where I bought them rather, down below for everybody. And then you're just going to grab a piece of scrap cardboard. You could also probably enhance this if you had maybe some Dollar Tree contact paper or something like that to cover that cardboard up with, but I'm going to paint it anyway, so not such a big deal. But go ahead and trace out your 2 circles, and I always make sure I do a nice thick line around there because I'm half blind and can't really see anyway. And then I cut out both of those circles, and when I did cut them out, they were a little bit big, so I just trimmed them down, and then you're literally just going to glue them back to the frame. as if there was a mirror there, but obviously there won't be a mirror there. The next thing I wanted to do was go ahead and glue my beads down. So I'm gluing the beads down kind of right on the edge of the cardboard there. That way, the beads create a really nice trim around the outside of this. That last little bead I had to turn sideways, but it did go in there and it looks perfect. I was pretty happy with the way that this turned out. Then it was time to kind of put some glue on top of all of the beads. You do this fairly quickly and just put your lid kind of on top of there. And then I took my folk art sheepskin paint and just started painting everything in that sheepskin color. I wanted to also kind of keep some of the wood beads uncovered with paint, if that makes sense. Like I wasn't using my sponge brush to get into all those little nooks and crannies, because after I'm done with this, I'm going to be using this antiquing wax to kind of go over everything again, and that will add some really cool textures and tones into this. So again, just waiting for both sides to dry and painting both sides of this, I was able to get everything covered and in about, I would say it was probably about 2.5 coats. I'm not a very patient painter, and I probably should get one of those heat guns. That way my paint drying time is less, because I tend to overpaint sometimes, and that can get me into some trouble, as you can imagine. But this one turned out pretty good. I was patient with this one and let it dry. And then also, because the base of this is dark, it's not a bad thing in this case, because I wanted some of that to show through, and I had planned on going back through and kind of aging this anyway. And then the very last thing I did was take my antiquing wax and just push it in between those beads and really covering everything with the antiquing wax. I did that for a reason, and you'll see kind of when the finished product is. It really makes it look like a bleached wood versus something that is, stained or even dirty looking to some degree. So then you'll go ahead and start wiping this off. And I did this for the tops, the fronts, the backs, the sides, literally everywhere that I could. And then when it's done, it makes a beautiful, beautiful impact on your coffee table and looks like this. I, again, love the way this looks. It's the perfect kind of a muted tone. I love the way that paint looks in between those beads and the way the edges and everything turned out. I am obsessed. And then for the last project, this is actually a Kirkland's dupe. So I loved this little crate. This is a 16-inch crate that's $80, and I thought I could make a smaller version of these for some plants on my mantle. So I took 2 of my crates that I had in my stash and also some large Dollar Tree craft sticks. And then I also had some of these fashion gems that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I wanted to create some corner pieces on the crates. If you remember the dupe from Kirkland's, it looked like it had metal sides on it, or metal corner brackets. So I wanted to kind of recreate that. So each popsicle stick creates 2 of the sides that you're going to need. And then I just took my wire cutters and just trimmed them down right on the line. And I ended up having 16 pieces total of each one of these. So when you take the 4 corners of each crate and you kind of take your sticks like this is what your corner brackets are going to look like once they're painted. So I first put them on a paper plate. I wanted to just test out 8 of them first with the silver. It worked out good. I took them while they were outside drying, rather. I then took my antiquing wax and just completely covered my little crate on the inside and the outside of this with the antiquing wax, and then used a sponge brush to kind of get in between the cracks and crevices as I needed to. And then after everything was painted, I kind of used the previous technique and just wiped everything away. And then you may remember on the crate from Kirkland's, there were kind of almost 3 different colors for their crate. There was a darker black along the bottom, and then the center bar was more like a beach off white, and then the top bar was kind of like this, how it looks right now. So I wanted to recreate that as well. So first thing I did was take my chalk paint and just darkened the bottom rung or the bottom kind of bar here with my folk art chalk paint. I think that was folk art anyway. And I just took a sponge and a little bit onto a paper plate and then literally just kind of dabbed it along. I did go a little dark at first. I was probably a little heavy-handed, but I ended up just kind of wiping it away, and it really worked out fine. I took one of those janky Dollar Tree brushes, those foam brushes, and just kind of ripped it apart, and used a little bit of the sponge for that. And as you can see, yeah, it was a little heavy-handed, but I went back through and kind of wiped some of it away, and it ended up being fine. And then again, just kind of, making sure that everything was nicely covered and liking the way it looked. Then I went in with my white and tried to do that a little bit lighter. I ended up going a little heavier on it because, again, I was just going to wipe it away. And then when the silver corner pieces were dry, I then took my antiquing wax and just kind of dabbed over top of those and then wiped that away too. There's a lot of wiping in my videos if you haven't noticed. And it kind of gives it a really cool galvanized metal look. I used the same technique when I did my little ToolBox DIY not too long ago. So for me, it works out really well. Maybe I should add a little bit of gray into it, or maybe even a little black, but I really do love the way this looks. Now I took some super glue and glued these little fashion gems on them. I also glued a lot of them to my finger, so that was fun. And then after everything was dry, I just started to glue the corner pieces onto the crates, kind of like you see here. And this was definitely the easier part of the project. And then after getting that done, I wanted to kind of age up those rivets or those grommets or those whatever you call them on the corner pieces. And I just took my antiquing wax and just kind of sponged over top of them. And then rather than completely wiping away, I kind of just went around them. But this is what the little crates look like when they're done. And this is what they look like on my mantle. They're perfect for a plant. They're a great little candle holder. You can really do a lot of different things with these. I'm probably going to end up putting these out on my porch. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. Also, be sure to check out Jessica's video below from The Simple DIYer. I've got her link to her channel as well as the video down below and her Instagram account. Again, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Take care.